playtime is over. Get your Prepared Mind merchandise at thepreparedmind.club. Help keep free speech free and spread the word about the need to prep. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I'm John, I'm the host, and you guys rock. It was really great getting that video done with Chris, and I've been chomping at the bit to get in here and talk to you about these two fantastic shit-hitting-the-fan topics. So I think I want to start with, we got a peek at who the Illuminati really are, and the fact that there is some turmoil at the top. That is, there's turmoil over control of the system out there. It's something that hasn't reared its head a whole lot. It did back in 1918 during the Bolshevik Revolution, and it's doing it again today. We are getting clues about this, and I want to share them with you. It's really important. So, as usual, I like to think I take a kind of a roundabout approach. I like to gather information from a lot of sources. A lot of different people send me stuff. And then I get to kind of add it all together and go, what is the math telling us? And how does it tie into Shit It's the Fan and how we should get prepared? Well, in 1918 or 1916 and whenever the Bolshevik Revolution happened, that was when the communists gathered their strength, overran the Kaiser, right? The Tsar Nicholas family, overran them, murdered them, took over the country of Russia and made it into the Soviet Union, that beautiful communist utopia that was destined to fail, and it should have failed a lot faster, except it was kept around. But that's another story. Let's just talk about what happened. The people in charge, the banks, the corporations, they didn't like Nicholas. Not to the extent that you would think they did, and it's not as bad as you think it might be. They just didn't mind this takeover happening, but it got out of control. You see, communists are dangerous. They always have been. But when we look at what it is they did, right? They didn't want to just take power from the people. They took power from the people, from the government, from banks, from everybody. Well, today we're getting a look at that about 100 years later. And who am I pointing at? I'm pointing at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, she wants to be a socialist, but the communist country called the Soviet Union was the Soviet Socialist Republics, right? The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. USSR. They claim to be socialists. And all the communist really is a socialist in a big hurry. Now, is AOC, Alexandria, is she a communist or a socialist? Well, she came out and proposed the single largest takeover of the entire United States that has ever been uttered out of the mouth of an elected official, yikes, that we're aware of. She wants the new Green Deal, which is going to change social dynamics, racial dynamics, religious dynamics, economics, and revamp the entire economic system. You want to talk about being in a big fucking hurry? That is not socialist. She's a communist. Now, she's dangerous because she's a fool. We know that. Get prepared. If you need a clue, communists in power in this country, get prepared now. There is no excuse for not. There's no reason to not. They're coming. They're coming hard. Not the same way they did in Romanov Russia, Imperial Russia, but they're coming. And a big difference between Russia and the United States of America is we have guns here. We have a Second Amendment. And a communist takeover by force is not going to go the way it did in Russia. Still, they're going to try. They're going to use their political means. Now, how did I kind of get to this? Well, you see, the bankers, They don't like communism, but they love fascism. Both of those are way over on the left side of the spectrum, communism and fascism, except one is a union between banking, government, and corporations, and the other is the government owns everything. The state is the bank, the state is corporations, and they'll take everything from people. There's no private property ownership in communism. It's so far over. They're both totalitarian or can be totalitarian. Just ask the Nazis and the Germans how they liked their version of totalitarian. It was pretty fucking nasty, wouldn't you agree? Well, the Soviet one wasn't much better. It oppressed people, businesses, government, life, everything. Talk about people that just hated looking in the mirror and living. God, those people were hapless, fucking hopeless. Oh, but everyone's the same. We're all equally miserable under communism. Well, the card has been played. Ocasio-Cortez and these idiot communists are gaining popularity and power. And as much as the bankers and the fascists don't like freedom, our Constitution, they don't like communism either because it takes their power away. Freedom over on this end of the freedom scale takes power away from the bankers. They want that sweet spot where they can make lots of money, have lots of power, and use the power and might of government to steal from the people who want freedom. That's where the bankers like it. They've always been there. They've always been there financing kings who are totalitarian, right? But it is a very interesting fine line they walk, and that makes them scumbags. Anyway, so how did I come to this? Well, a couple weeks ago, a bunch of the Cortez-type communist, socialist Democrats confronted Dianne Feinstein, a stalwart fascist. Stalwart fascist Dianne Feinstein. Social fascist Dianne Feinstein. Right? How do I know that? She likes the power of government being huge, the power of banking being huge, and she likes the fact that she and her husband have made billions of dollars through government contracts, taking state tax money to make her wealthy. Fascism. Okay, so let's move on. So she was confronted by a bunch of these little communist socialist types, or socialist communist types. And then now, last week, she got in trouble for $6,000 that was paid to her boyfriend out of her campaign that wasn't quite done right. Well, they've taken it a step further. Now it's starting to sound like she may end up going to jail because there is $1 million that was hidden in her campaign funds. Something was done wrong. Now, isn't it just fucking fascinating that Hillary Clinton can be in American politics since the 1970s, back when she was a young lawyer in the Watergate case against Nixon. And then she married Bill Clinton. Oh yeah, Bill Clinton, who was with her in the 70s, through the 80s in Arkansas. And then through the 90s as the first lady, the second president at the same time, right? She developed some interesting habits, right? She came to know people that tended to commit suicide. Dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of them. People went to jail around them. They made millions, and indeed through the Clinton Foundation, billions of dollars. But she's never gotten in trouble. She's never been found guilty. She's never been prosecuted. She has pay to play basically on her fucking business card, Hillary Clinton. Right? She's involved in the Uranium One scandal, which makes Whitewater look ridiculous, which makes her cattle futures shorting and just the thing that she's been involved with, and she's never gotten in trouble. Benghazi, selling arms and trading, and never got in trouble. And what difference does it make now? And it doesn't matter that laws were broken, right? She's never gotten in trouble. Yet, Alexandria, just starting out, is in deep shit. Why? Because she's a communist. And fascists don't like communists. So it gives you an idea, and I know it's taken a long time to get here. The bankers, the Illuminati, the powers that be, the dark state, the deep state, they are fascists. They have been here for a long time. They go back to the 1850s when they really came to power in the United States of America, quietly, silently working behind the scenes. That is who they are. Hillary Clinton is backed by the Rothschilds, supported by Evelyn de Rothschild. It just, the math is right there. And AOC, right, she is going to pay the price for being a communist and getting too much power and then offering to use communist power in this country. Right? She scares the fascists because she's radical. She is as radical to the fascist banking system as our freedom is radical to them. So they will shut her down. They will shut down the communists. Now they'll use, the bankers and George Soros will use Antifa, communists, to fight against us way over here on the freedom side. But fascists will pay and support communists to fuck with us. But they don't want them in power. But like Russia in the early 1900s, early 20th century, communist power and momentum can explode out of the youth. It is very scary. It is like a stick of dynamite, right? That's glazed with C4 and a blasting cap. They're just waiting to go off. They're just waiting to go off. And so that's why they're a threat. And that is why I believe AOC is in trouble. She's not really allied with the true power, but she'll be used by them the same way the Antifa is used. As preppers, we need to understand this other prong that's developed over there in Washington and how it's playing out and how dangerous it is. And now we're going to get to the second part of this discussion. Down on the southern border, President Donald J. Trump has said we have an emergency there. We have a crisis. It's a national emergency. It is illegal, criminal invasion by non-uniformed paramilitary foreign combatants. That's how I describe them in my head. They don't have to wear a uniform, but they're still paramilitary. They're gangs, and the gangs are paramilitary. What I mean by paramilitary is not that they wear military boots, but that they have a hierarchy, that they have an agenda, and that they'll use violence and coordinated effort to get there. Essentially, that's what an army is. It is a violent, coordinated, trained group that has and follows an agenda of its leaders. I didn't say the paramilitary scumbags coming across the border are an army under a flag, but they are definitely an army or a paramilitary organization of sorts. They have a hierarchy. They follow orders. They do as they're told. They kill people to complete an agenda. Sounds like a military to me in many, many ways. Not to degrade us veterans in the military and put them on par with us, right? But they are a paramilitary organization, and nonetheless. Now, they don't come over in formation. Right? They're not showing up in uniform, but they are coming over the border in pieces here and pieces there. They find each other in all of our cities, and they restructure and build their hierarchies within cities. And they fund this not through taxation directly. They fund it through the sale of illegal drugs and also prostitution and human trafficking. It truly is a crisis. It truly is an emergency. Now, where it becomes a big problem for us, it's not only the drugs and the human trafficking and the prostitution and the basic illegal activity that MS-13 and other cartels participate in, but the strain that it puts on the system itself. Look at the expense that we're having to go through to build a border wall, and it should have been built a long time ago. The expense in human labor, that is the military, the border patrol, law enforcement, the strain it puts on the taxpayers here in the United States of America for food, medicine, the use of our roads. Every time a car drives down the road degrades. It wears it out. That's why they have to dig the asphalt up and repave it. These people are here and they're not paying their fair share. They don't have a right to be here. But what they're causing is the system to crumble, to fail. They're causing it to fail. Now, what I like to talk about is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Camel can hold a lot of weight, like a pack mule. And so you pile a suitcase on, then another suitcase, you tie some canteens, right? You load that camel full of stuff. And you're like, that camel can hold that. It's not a problem. I'm going to put some more shit on there. Well, the camel's got to eat, so I'm going to start stacking bales of hay, right? You put a couple bales of hay on the camel. Now it's carrying its own food, its own water, your luggage, everything you need. That is what our system is. Our system is like a camel. Right? Our infrastructure, our distribution and production system for food and goods, it can carry an awful lot. It can produce an awful lot. But you take that camel and you keep adding this and that and the other. And then you're like, well, there's just room to start putting little pieces of straw in here. That's going to be the camel's bedding. Right? And then they pick at it and pick at it and pick at it and load it. And all of a sudden, the camel collapses. Well, 1 second, the camel was fine. It was carrying the whole fucking load. Nobody had any idea the camel was at the end. Unless you speak Camelese, right? And it made a noise, and you're like, uh-oh, right? But the camel appears to be fine until it isn't. The camel's fine until it isn't, and there's the straw. That last straw that exhausts the camel, and it fucking collapses. Now you've got no camel. Our country, and this has happened in the past, our country and other countries, they've been loaded with debt. We have a debt crisis in this country. We have a wealth crisis in this country. We have not in a socialist sense, but in a fascist sense, we have an income and profit distribution problem in this country, meaning the uber wealthy are taking 99% of the wealth out of the system for themselves, and the middle class is being destroyed because of the way the system is being administered. It is unfair, and they don't realize it, but these stupid fuckers, the bankers, Wall Street, investment firms, corporations, have abused their power to the degree, and they are killing the golden goose. That is the golden goose that gives them the fucking gold. They are overloading the camel, and they don't realize it. But you as a prepper, you speak Camelese. I speak Camelese. I can hear the camel saying, my fucking back hurts. We can hear the groans coming from their joints. We can see the shaking in the legs and the back of the camel. Well, just one more straw. Just going to put some more of some other people's stuff and our stuff now. That's what these bankers and investment people and politicians are doing. They're going to break the camel. We're getting very close now, right? We have a supply crisis that's coming up. We have a distribution crisis. We have all of this stuff coming from China, and we're sending our money overseas. I know Trump's trying to fix that. But the damage is done. The camel, our system is overloaded. It is bearing far more than it can carry. Now, it can carry it for a while, and it has. The camel's been carrying the load for a long time, but they keep adding more and more to it. The debt alone is an incredible burden on the system. And when the system breaks, whether it's the right leg or the back leg, or the front leg or the left leg, or the back, right? The straw that breaks the camel's back, the camel just falls over. It's exhausted. The system is now exhausted. As preppers, we see it in the slowing housing market, construction market. slowing retail sales. I saw this morning while I was talking to a friend, chatting, I was getting information, doing what I usually do, sharing and getting information. It's a wonderful system, the internet, to use it this way. But I saw on the TV, I was in a coffee bar, saw on a TV a commercial for auto loans. No money down, no credit check. Are you fucking kidding me? That is essentially a subprime auto loan being pumped on TV. If you got no credit, if you got no money down, we don't care. Come on in. We're going to get you in a car. It took me right back to 2007, 2008, right before the collapse. The bankers are thirsty. They have to have more money. They have to have it because they make profit on the interest that they charge. So you buy something, you pay interest on top of the money you borrowed, while the money that you have is losing value because of inflation. Thank you very much, you bunch of corrupt mother fuckers in Washington and New York and Chicago and other countries and other cities where they have come up with this scheme, this way to steal from people, to piss down their back and tell them that it's raining and it's good for them. They're doing it again. The housing market, the auto market, retail, tax receipts are drying up. Liquidity is drying up. China and I caught this story this morning. China went to their banks and said, loosen up, meaning get those loans out there. Fucking red alarms. 5-alarm fire bells went off in my head. Are you kidding me? The Chinese government telling the banks, make the loans happen. In other words, increase liquidity. Get the cash in the system. We need the cash circulating to promote some business, to get people to spend, and they're going to go in even more debt. China's in even more debt than the United States. Everyone says, China's going to lead the world. I don't think so. I think they're going to crash just as hard. The thing with China is it's taken 20 years. In 20 years, they've caught up and surpassed the West in deficit spending, burdensome government, taxation. They've caught up, that's all. It's not that they're going to excel past everyone to some marvelous utopian paradise. No. China, which I believe is a fascist country, because they've incorporated the fascist ideas in there, using banks and business to enrich those in power. The government of China realizes they don't need to be communist in order to run everything and rule. But being fascist will make them more money, and so they've become that fascist organization. They still call themselves Chi-Coms or the Chinese Socialists or whatever, but they're fascist. They're more fascist than communist, because they're certainly not doing it for the people, and the government of China is continually putting down small-scale rebellions and forcing their people to behave much like slaves. So bad that in factories and in housing, they put nets under windows so people can't commit suicide. That's how much they love their workers and need them in there to produce for their corporations. They turn around and then pay back dividends to those in charge. In the mafia, in organized crime, it's called the VIG, vigorish, the payment, the kickback, right? Gratuity. It's how you pay off the boss. It's taxes. It's good business. As a prepper, when you see what's going on, when you understand where we're at in the game, why politics is so important, why economics is so important, why social structures, why tradition, why culture, why it's all so important. Why is it that laws and rules apply to some, like AOC, and I don't feel sorry for the bitch at all because she broke the rules, right? And I don't feel sorry for Hillary either, but she is breaking the rules, has broken the rules, and gets away with it. But see, that's what abusive government does. They disobey the laws. There's a two-tier system, the rules for those in power and the rules for those who aren't in power or cannot be allowed to come to power. That is why Donald J. Trump is such a stick in the mud for these people, because he's not really playing their game. They can't really control him. They might be trying to kill him, and I've feared for that man's life since he announced his candidacy. He hasn't done everything that I want. He's kept a lot of people in his administration that I don't agree with. But is that, keep your enemies close and your friends close and your enemies even closer? Right? Is that part of his game plan? Well, he hasn't been shot yet. And he has made things somewhat better. But the system, the camel, it is overweighted. Its legs are trembling. I hear camelese. That thing is screaming. Don't do this to me again, but it's too late. It's too late. The injury, the damage is done. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Go to the preparedmind.club. Buy what you need there. Right? That's your store. You guys pay for it. Right? It takes care of this channel. It pays for the research. It pays people. It pays some of our bills. It's needed. It's necessary. Right? But I'm serious. I don't want people to go shop there because I said so. I want you to shop there because it has the best price and the best products. That's it. Right? If you can find something cheaper or better elsewhere, go there. I just want people to be prepared. Prepared. Because when it's all said and done, when the buildings start crumbling, right, when the camel falls over on the tent and collapses everything, it's going to be you in that 10-mile radius around you. That's where the shit's going to happen. That's where the trouble's going to be, and you need to be prepared for it. You guys, be cool. Thank you again for all of your support and all the ways you've done it. For people at Patreon, which is you guys watching this, for people who have gone above and beyond and contributed more than is asked, for those of you who've gone to PayPal and donated directly to my licentiousness, my scotch and my stogies, I want to thank everybody for sharing your thoughts, your lives, your efforts to try and help the community here. It's just been wonderful, and we need to do what we can to continue to help each other until the camel fucking falls over, and it's not looking good. Nothing but bad news economically. But we still have hope. Hope for Brexit. Hope for a deal with China. That's what's holding the market up, is hope and a bunch of fiat currency being thrown at it. You guys be cool. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Eyes open. Stay frosty. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. And Godspeed to all.